In this video, I'm going to be talking about YouTube Music and what I think about using it as my main music streaming app for the last month. Let's get into it. Greetings, Aqua fam. It is your favorite quarantined YouTuber, Ben Aqua, and here I have YouTube Music. This is YouTube's music streaming service. So over a year ago, Google announced that they would be demolishing its Google Play Music app, which I actually really love. And then they introduced YouTube Music, which was going to take over Google Play Music and eventually take some of its features. It's been over a year since they made that announcement, probably almost 2 years at this point, and YouTube Music is still pretty similar to what it used to be, but it does have some really awesome features. And I actually quit Spotify, I quit Apple Music just to see if I could survive on YouTube Music alone. So this video is going to be about that experience. Is YouTube Music worth your hard-earned coin? So first of all, let's talk about the interface and the design. So when you open it up, this is what it looks like. You have a pretty familiar looking screen here, which is like a home screen. The home screen adapts to what you listen to the most. So your favorites are kind of the things that you listen to the most, different artists and different playlists and stuff. And it has one of the best features, which is called Your Mix. So when you press that, it goes to a instant mix, an endless mix of a bunch of different stuff that it thinks you might like based on what you've been playing recently. And here's where you see the main interface for just listening to tracks. So it's very minimal, and apparently YouTube is rolling out a new design for this where the artwork is going to be a little bit smaller. It's just going to look a little nicer, and it's going to have the shuffle and repeat buttons more front and center on the main screen. This interface does look a little basic to me, and they haven't really changed it that much over the last year. But I do like that the artwork is really big. I kind of have a personal pet peeve though of when apps full screen and you can't see the time and your little icons and stuff up there. YouTube Music does allow you to see that stuff, but you have to tap on the album artwork and then you can see the time and the little icons. When you tap it again, they go away. So the functionality with this main now playing screen is you have a like button, you have a dislike button, and you can press the I for a little more info, and it gives you lyrics on the song underneath. And then it tells you like what album it's from and the artist. And here's what an artist page looks like. This is ELO. This is one of my favorite groups of all time. It gives you a shuffle button, so you can shuffle all of the artist tracks, or you can start a radio station based on their tracks. It shows you their latest release, their top songs, and it divides each artist's releases into different albums and singles. And if there's more than a bunch of albums, you can click on see all and then see a nice list of everything there. I have noticed that there are some weird things going on sometimes with like older albums. Like in theory, this should be chronological, but some of these albums, for example, 1975 here, that should be all the way at the bottom, but for some reason it's in the middle of this discography for Electric Light Orchestra. I don't really understand why they do that, but it's a little chaotic when it comes to organization. But overall, I think the design is clean, it's minimal, it's nice, it gets the job done. So when you scroll down on the home screen, there's a listen again kind of feature here. We can scroll around the stuff you've listened to recently. There's mixed for you. So they have a Your Mix thing, which is like your algorithmic mix of stuff you've listened to recently and what it thinks you would like. Then it also has something called Discover Mix, which is their version of Spotify's Discover Weekly. And that's kind of cool. It just uses the algorithm to determine some tracks that it thinks you would like. It can be kind of hit or miss, but it's usually pretty accurate because it's Google and they have like freaky AI. And then it also has a liked songs section. So anytime you like a song, it'll end up in this playlist automatically. And you can shuffle those. You can just hit play and listen to all those at the same time. So that's pretty cool. It's very similar to liking songs and adding songs on Spotify. And then there's also something called a new release mix, which is one of my favorite features about YouTube Music, where it just shows you this quick mix of new music that was released recently. And this seems to actually update more than a few times a week, like almost daily. So sometimes if you just reload it or just look the next day, you'll see stuff that you didn't see before. Apple Music also has a new release mix type of playlist, except their playlist only updates, I think, once a week. The Discover Mix updates, I think, every Wednesday, and the Your Mix updates every time you press that play button. So if you're like, oh, I don't like that song that it just started, you just tap it again and it gives you a whole new option for new stuff. And you can see the whole playlist is different. So that's really cool. So overall, the design, I like the design. It is a little basic, and you scroll down and see other artists that you're playing and what it thinks you'll like in terms of new releases, which is pretty cool. You can click on see all, and this is kind of like an algorithmic new release section. You can just see what's going on with all stuff that YouTube thinks you would like. And it's usually kind of accurate. Sometimes it is not super accurate, but Ooh, new zebra cats. Okay, okay. So in terms of features, YouTube Music is definitely algorithmic based. It's very similar to Spotify, and it feels like, you know, there's machines telling us what to listen to, but in a really good way, because I think their algorithm is actually very, very accurate, maybe a little more accurate than Spotify. They do have these kind of curated playlists, and it's hard to tell if these are actually algorithmic based or if they're human based, but they usually have some pretty cool stuff here. It's just hard to tell like when it was updated. One thing I do miss about Spotify when it comes to looking at playlists is Spotify will tell you how recently a playlist has been updated. YouTube Music, it's kind of a free-for-all. You don't see any info about the playlist, although you do see a little description. So YouTube Music really wants me to listen to throwback jams, and I guess I have been listening to some of that kind of stuff recently. Mellow moods, maybe a little bit of that, live performances. The home screen is kind of basic, honestly. You just scroll down and then it just kind of stops, and then you're like, well, sometimes I go on there and I'm like, what do I even listen to? But that's where the best feature of this app, in my opinion, is this Your Mix playlist comes in. I really love that you can just open the app and press that, and then it just starts playing a bunch of stuff that it thinks you might like. Like I said, it's pretty accurate for the most part, but if you don't like a song, you just press the dislike button, and then your playlist moves on and you see a bunch of new stuff. So that's the home screen. And then when you click on something called Hot List down here, it goes to a bunch of the most popular music videos on YouTube Music. So if you're into that kind of thing, you're gonna like that, but it doesn't seem to update super often, maybe, you know, a couple times a week, maybe once a week. Definitely geared towards people that are into more mainstream music. So if that's your thing and you love music videos, you're gonna love this. And then when you go into the library section, it shows you all of your last played stuff. So a list of all the stuff that you've played last. So it shows you like a complete history of individual songs that you've been playing. It even shows you last week, last month. This is something that I think all music apps should have, like a complete history of what you listen to. So when you go to the library section, you can see that there's a downloads section. When you tap on that, it gives you an option to do an offline mixtape, which is like an algorithm-based mixtape of stuff it thinks you will like. And that's all downloaded to your phone, so you can listen to that offline. And then there's a playlist section over here. You can sort that by recently added or A to Z, Z to A. And then there's also an albums section. And then when you click on songs, it shows you a list of all of your liked songs, but it doesn't show you, like, you can't add a bunch of songs to a main library. And this is my main gripe with YouTube Music. I really am kind of old school in that I like to have a huge library of stuff where I can listen to a bunch of my songs that I add to a huge library and then press shuffle and then listen to everything. But you can't do that in YouTube Music. YouTube Music only adds to your library. It adds songs individually when you like them. But if you don't like them, it doesn't add them to a library, and there's no way to add them to just like a huge library in YouTube Music and then just press shuffle. But if you do like to just have your liked music in a huge playlist, all you have to do is go to library and then tap on songs. And then there you will see all of your liked songs, and you can easily shuffle that. And one thing that YouTube recently made available is uploads, where you can upload a bunch of your MP3s to the cloud, and that's included with the premium streaming service. And by the way, I do have a premium account with YouTube Music, which is why I'm able to get the uploads, and you get background audio play. So some of these features are not available if you just have a free YouTube account. Like, you can't listen to stuff in the background, which is kind of annoying. You can't upload your own songs, and you will definitely see ads in your YouTube Music experience with the free plan. And the last tab in the library is artists, where it lists a bunch of the artists that you've listened to and have added and liked songs by. So let's talk about song selection. And this is one thing where YouTube Music, I think, could definitely improve. It has a lot of, you know, the basic mainstream songs, and it's got millions of songs. It's not really something I can really complain about. But there have been a bunch of times where I was looking through an artist's complete discography and there were certain things missing, like particular singles or remixes or just complete albums from certain artists. So it definitely seems like YouTube Music has most stuff, but it seems a little disappointing. Like, it doesn't seem completely comprehensive in the same way that Spotify and Apple Music are. And then when it comes to audio quality, like, let's go into settings and you click on playback and restrictions. It gives you an option for audio quality on mobile networks. You can change that to always high, which I usually do. Audio quality on Wi-Fi, always high. Don't play music videos. It gives you these options for how you want your YouTube Music experience to be, because it is YouTube and it has a ton of music videos in addition to streamable music. Also in settings, it allows you to see how much storage your app is using. You can download over Wi-Fi only. You can choose your audio quality, for downloads, which I usually set to high. So audio quality is pretty good. Sometimes it does sound a little compressed, but overall it sounds pretty good. And I've done some comparisons to Spotify and Apple Music, and it sounds very similar to the two of those, sometimes a little more compressed, a little bit noticeable. So when it comes to price, YouTube Music has the same price as Spotify and Apple Music. It's $9.99 per month in the US for the premium account, where you can listen to stuff in the background, you can have downloads, you can upload your own tracks. And when it comes to overall value, I think YouTube definitely creates a lot of value because it has a ton of other stuff that Spotify and Apple Music do not have, such as music videos and live performances, rare tracks, unreleased demos, that kind of stuff. So for example, if I search for this really cool artist, Ben Aqua, which I don't know if you've listened to their music, but they're pretty freaking amazing. And it shows you a top result. It shows you some main songs, which are the ones on YouTube Music proper, but it also shows you videos. And this is where YouTube Music has an advantage over Spotify and Apple Music, where it shows you a bunch of music that has been uploaded to videos on YouTube that aren't necessarily on, YouTube Music proper, or they're definitely not available on Spotify, Apple Music. So these are a bunch of tracks that I've uploaded to my various channels. So you can listen to all those in addition to all the stuff that's officially available, like on my artist profile. So that's a huge advantage of using something like YouTube Music versus Apple Music and Spotify, where YouTube Music has the entire treasure trove of all the stuff uploaded to YouTube, in addition to most of the albums and singles that artists have officially released on, distributed channels. And overall, I think YouTube Music has a lot of potential. I think one of the main gripes that I have about it is it still doesn't have an option where you can add a bunch of songs to a huge library and then just press shuffle. And also how they have done the uploads versus the stuff on YouTube Music streaming. They've separated those two things, so if you wanted to shuffle all of your YouTube Music liked songs and your uploads at the same time, there's not really a way to do that. You have to click uploads and then press shuffle all, or just go to YouTube Music and do like the streaming stuff and press shuffle all. So I wish they had a way where you can just press shuffle to all of your music, including YouTube Music streamable stuff and all the stuff that you've uploaded. But for $9.99, I think YouTube Music is actually a really good deal, and I have missed certain features about Apple Music and Spotify in the last month. But overall, I think it packs a really big punch for $9.99 a month, and it has a lot of advantages. If you like the live performances, music videos, that kind of stuff, I think you're gonna really love YouTube Music, and I definitely think it's worth $10 a month. And you get background play, and you get to upload your own songs to the cloud. So those are my thoughts on YouTube Music after using it as my main streaming service for a month. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you use Spotify? Do you use YouTube Music? Do you use Apple Music or Tidal? What do you use? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, tap that notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.